Good evening, Westbury family. Today, I forgot. Welcome to the Board of Education special meeting. Today is April the 3rd, 2024. Trustee Rodney Keynes.
Present.
Trustee Michelle Wilson. Trustee Dr. Bless Dickerson.
Present.
Trustee Robert Triano Jr.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, District Clerk. We are meeting tonight, as said by the District Clerk, it's a special meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to present the 24-25 budget. That presentation is scheduled to start at 7:30. Prior to the presentation, the board is going to go into executive session, which I'll ask for a motion to go into executive session in just a second. After the presentation of the budget, I anticipate that the board will go back into executive session, and we'll come back out, and then we will have a vote potentially to adopt the budget for 24-25, which will be presented to the voters at a hearing on May 9th and then voted on May 21st. I think I have those dates correct?
Yes, but there will also be community presentations.
So may I have a motion to go in executive session to discuss an item of personnel? We will be in executive session until approximately 7:25.
So moved.
Motion has been moved. Do you have a second?
Second.
Seconded by, motion was made by Trustee Dickerson, seconded by Trustee Wilson. Ayes. Trustee Keynes.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson.
Aye.
And I, Robert Triano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. See you in about 45 minutes. Thank you. Didn't I?
Yeah, you did. There was a very weird pause. That's, I'm like, wait a second. Who wouldn't want?
Okay, are you ready in the back?
No. Oh, thumbs up.
Okay, we are back from executive session. If you didn't join us, we started the meeting at 6:30. We took roll call at that time, and I'm just going to repeat again that at 6:30, before we went into executive session, we had Trustee Keynes, Trustee Wilson, Trustee Dickerson, and myself. During executive session, we were joined by Trustee Robin Bowling. I'm going to ask that everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent meditation. Trustee Wilson has reminded me that we have not voted to come out of executive session, so we will do that. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
It is moved by somebody, hopefully the district clerk knows.
Dickerson.
Moved by Trustee Dickerson. It was seconded by? It's been moved and seconded. Ayes. Trustee Keynes? Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
And I, Robert Troiano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. We will be joined later this evening, we hope, by Trustee Ewing and Trustee Quintanilla via Zoom. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. And everything? I'm glad it's not just me. I thought I was sick or something. I really think it's supposed to be posted on the website. But, okay.
Once they come up on the screen, he's gonna make it visible with location.
Right, but I think the theory is you put it on the website beforehand, so that somebody could go there if they wanted to and see that it's actually
Understood.
there.
Okay. That's why I heard.
Ready? Ready, administration? Okay. Okay, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to do a presentation of the 24-25 budget. After the budget is presented, I anticipate that there will be a vote on the board, on the part of the board, to either adopt the budget or to vote it down, in which case there'd be another effort to do that at a later date. Assuming that this budget is adopted tonight, there will be a presentation, a budget hearing on May 7th. When we started the meeting at 6:30, I said May 9th. In fact, will be on May 7th. And then the actual budget vote will take place on May 21st. Leading the presentation is, of course, Dr. Chase, our superintendent, and she will be supported by the administrative staff, which includes all of our assistant superintendents, one for business, one for personnel, and two for curriculum. Dr. Chase, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, those who are watching at home. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening to our families who are watching at home, and of course to our translators. Thank you so much for being here in our technology department. Despite the weather, I know that we have a very positive budget to present to our community, and I hope that you will see it as a positive budget. It is a budget that's focused on our beautiful scholars here at the Westbury School District, and it's perfectly themed, preparing today's scholars for tomorrow's solutions. Do you have a clicker? So at our school district, we are keenly focused on preparing our scholars for tomorrow's solutions. Isn't that what the art of education is all about? It's preparing our students, it's preparing them for jobs that may not even exist, but for solutions for tomorrow. We want our scholars to be at the forefront, the global forefront, if you will, in careers. That being said, what does it take, please go back. What does it take to make that happen? Well, in the 2024-2025 budget, it's going to take innovation. It's going to take all of us to be creative, all of us to think outside of the box and reimagine how we have done things in the past. It's going to take for us to be creative in how we deliver instruction. It's going to even take for us to be creative as to how we distribute our staff. But in that creativity and in that innovation, we will not take away from the programs that we love, that are working really well, but we're just focused on doing things differently. Project-based learning, you will hear more about that as we go into the presentation, and the importance of our scholars being able to identify a problem and being able to solve it, to work well with others, to create projects to demonstrate what it is that they know and what they're able to do. And in order to do those things, we're going to need well-trained educators. We're going to be keenly focused on making sure that our educators are at the forefront of the most innovative ways to educate our scholars and the most creative ways in preparing them for tomorrow's solutions. So, in order for us to present this budget to you all, we had to go through a process, and there was a timeline. If you might recall, the Board of Education adopted that timeline. In November, we engaged in training on how to enter budget into the financial software. We wanted to make sure that our administrators were well trained in how to participate in the budget process. In December, those budget meetings continued. I want to thank my assistant superintendents and directors, as well as the principals and their teams, for participating in these courageous conversations about innovation, about reimagining and refocusing our budget. In January, the governor released her budget. And in February, there was an initial meeting with the Budget and Finance Committee, and I am so pleased to introduce you to that committee very, very shortly. This last month in March, the tax levy limit calculations were due. We held a second meeting with our fantastic committee. And then, of course, we had budget meetings with our Board of Education. And here we are tonight in April. We hope that the budget will be adopted, but we will entertain questions and comments prior to doing that as well. And in May, we will have a budget hearing that is May 7th. And then, of course, our vote is May 21st. And we encourage all of our community members, our residents, to please come out to vote. So I talked about that budget committee because we wanted to make sure that this budget process and development of the budget was inclusive. And so we want to thank the Board of Education, the administration would like to thank Ms. Robin Barnett, our Assistant Superintendent for Elementary, Dr. Bloom, our Assistant Superintendent for Personnel, Mr. Rodney Keynes, who is a Board Trustee, Mr. Brendan Gallivan, our Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Instruction, Ms. Elaine Lavelle, who is a community member, Mr. Chester McGibbon, community member, of course, our Assistant Superintendent for Finance. We thank you for developing this budget and taking all of our input and making it to what it is today that we're going to present. Mr. Jairo Reyes, our PTA Council President, and our Board Trustee, Ms. Michelle Wilson. So, with any budget, and across America, superintendents, Board of Education, community members understand that budgets do present some challenges. We never have a perfect model for creating a budget. And so the challenges that Westbury faces, that what we consider to be the COVID funding, the COVID money, as most people called it, our ARPA and ESSA funding, is ending. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that throughout the presentation. We also have contractual salary obligations in which we must adhere. And of course, that always poses a challenge because usually that includes increases, obligatory increases. And of course, enrollment. And we're going to speak a little bit about enrollment later on in the budget. So I want to keep those three challenges in mind. And as we go through the budget presentation, I want you to see how we, as a committee, as a Board of Education, administration, community members, were innovative in creating a budget that, despite those challenges, we're going to maintain our programs. We're going to maintain things in which we love about our school district, things that are helping us to become a progressive school district, and we're not taking away from our scholars. I'm done. I'm at 5%.
Good evening. So our executive summary starts with the budget includes a freeze at the current year tax levy level. So there is no increase for the tax levy in this budget. It actually has, our taxes have been lowered by 5% over the last 5 years. Our budget to budget increase is 1.1%. We have several academic programs that are in the budget. First, we have the International Baccalaureate program.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill. Very excited to talk about this particular initiative among many initiatives that we have going on. So part of what we promised our community was that we would grow global citizens, and to that end, we're introducing the International Baccalaureate program, which is an international program. These programs exist in schools around the world. We're bringing diverse and compelling offerings in across all content areas. To our schools. We've trained upwards of 20 teachers, and they've received official International Baccalaureate Organization training to write these courses. We're working very hard. We look forward to being authorized. The goal of this program is to create global citizens and global stewards.
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to talk about our Professional Learning Communities Initiative. Our PLC initiative began about a year and a half ago, and PLC are educators who are regularly engaged in action-based research and job-embedded professional development to improve student achievement and instructional accountability. This past year, we entered our first year of Professional Learning Communities at Work Project New York State Model Schools. It is the goal of the Westbury Union Free School District by the end of year 3 of this certification period to gain the prestigious PLC Model Schools certification. We will be, at the end of year 3, one of the only New York State school districts to achieve this extremely prestigious certification. So included in the budget is funding for year 2 out of a 3-year period to work for the prestigious certification. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. One of the programs that we were previously paying for through our ARP-ESSA funding as part of our COVID money was our Saturday Winds Academy. In this budget, you will see that we are bringing the Saturday Winds Academy into our general fund and maintaining that program. This is the program in which we have committed to opening our schools 6 days a week. We bring our scholars into our school buildings on Saturdays for enriched learning opportunities. And with this budget, we are planning to expand that program and truly enhance it to diversify our course offerings so that all scholars have the opportunity to participate in rigorous student interest topic learning during our Saturday Winds Academy so that all scholars can really enhance their learning experience, not only the 5 days of the week that we have them during our school day, but as well as on Saturdays.
And social emotional learning. You know, since the pandemic, there's been much conversation throughout the country about the importance of social emotional learning. And one of the challenges that we presented was the loss of the COVID money. But just because it's lost doesn't mean that we're going to lose social emotional learning. I talked about innovation earlier. We have been innovative in making sure that we maintain social emotional support, not just for our scholars, but also for our adults, also for our families. And that is very, very important to us. So despite the challenges, as you see, we're maintaining not only the programs that are working well, but we're also holding true to the promises that we made. We promised this community that we would start a professional learning community. And not only did we start a professional learning community, we are now becoming a model school, and we will be the only model school in the state of New York. We will be an international baccalaureate authorized school district. We will have a world-class signature Saturday Winds Academy. And for those of you who don't know, WINS is an acronym for What I Need on Saturday. It is a unique program. And let me apologize to the community members who have to deal with the traffic on a Saturday morning. But just know that our babies are being educated 6 days a week, and so forgive us. We will work that out. But I just want you to know why you have to deal with the traffic on a Saturday morning, because Westbury is committed to opening its schools 6 days a week. And this budget will allow for us to do that and maintain the programs that we love. So we got an audience here, board member. We will continue our investments in facilities. We've allocated $1.8 million for future projects, and 1.5 for allocated to planned projects. We will continue to maintain a strong financial position. This school district is in good standing financially. Financially, and that is because of the stewardship of our Board of Education, our central office administrator, our building administrators, and making sure that we are innovative and that we are responsibly using our taxpayers' dollars. For the past 5 years, the school district has lowered its taxes. I recall when I first came here as a superintendent, where this Board of Education returned $2 million 2 years in a row and delivered on a promise to this community. We're committed to being stewards of your money and using it the correct way to improve outcomes for our scholars.
So as we mentioned before, we had COVID funding that will be ending September 30th, 2024. As we've mentioned, we are bringing those programs back into the general fund, and you'll be seeing that in later slides. We're bringing in the Saturday Academy, we're bringing in SEL, we're bringing in arts, music, languages, and the new reading program and a new math program. Okay. Our financial plan overview. Our proposed budget increase is 1.1%, or $198,918,211. And please take a look, our school tax increase is 0%. We have a summary of our revenues, and again, our revenues, our real property tax is 0% change. We have an increase in our state and federal aid of 1.9%. Our pilots have increased 3.5%. Miscellaneous revenues are 12.5%, and then our appropriated reserves are remaining the same. Summary of expenses, I've broken it down by different categories. With your salary and benefits, that is the majority of your budget, increases $4.5 million. Our supplies, materials, and equipment does decrease, but please know that no one is losing anything. Contractual transportation is decreasing. We're still transporting all of our students. We were just, I have to thank the transportation department. They were able to revise our routes and consolidate some, so we see savings for next year. Our tuition does go up, and that's mainly due to charter school tuition. Our debt and interfund transfers decreases by 1.1. And you'll notice our contractual services shows a decrease of about 1.7 million, but our BOCE services are increasing almost 1.2. We've been maximizing our aid and removing some of our services from equipment that we're purchasing and contractual services to BOCE services to generate aid for you in the following year. The next few slides basically just break out the changes that we have. And just to point out some of the items, we mentioned that the COVID funds were ending. We do have staff returning from grants. That would include language teachers, art teachers, SEL. We have a director of E&L and literacy. We have a PPS program that we'll speak about a little bit more in detail. There are a few positions that we had as we looked at the structure of the offices that we had that were vacant that we are not going to fill, so we removed them from the budget. We had a vacant assistant to the superintendent that we don't need, and we had a vacant assistant business administrator for finance in the business office that we are not going to fill anymore. Yes.
Well, the assistant to the superintendent for security, we no longer need because we have Jennifer Doyle. And so, and we talked about being innovative. These are some of the innovations. These are some of the conversations we've been having as to how can we continue to use our taxpayer dollars responsibly. We're looking at staff members who we currently have, possibly repurposing staff members. We're looking at staff members who have other areas of certification and taking a look at their expertise and perhaps maybe using them in more innovative ways. This is what creativity looks like, and this is what innovation looks like, and this is what being responsible looks like. Ms. O'Neill did speak a little bit earlier about staff returning from grants. Again, we're not going to do away with things in that grant that have worked well with us, and for our students and for our families. We're just finding more creative ways in which we can use them. SEL is one. We will not take SEL away from our staff and our scholars. We find that it is working, and it's probably one of the most positive initiatives we brought to our school district.
One of the most exciting parts of the budget here is the PPS programs that were referenced on the last slide. And what this is we are bringing our scholars home to Westbury. As you know, we have established the Middle School Strive program, and they're currently in their second year of that program. This budget will allow for us to expand the Strive program, bringing back 2 sections of scholars at the elementary level, transitioning our current middle school scholars up to the high school program, and replacing those students at the middle school program with another cohort of students. So what this budget item includes is the special education teachers who will support these programs, the teaching assistants and aides as per the students' IEPs, speech language pathologist, a school psychologist, and a board-certified behavior analyst who will be able to support all of our scholars K-12. This is extremely exciting as we offer truly innovative programs here in Westbury, and every Westbury scholar, every student who lives in the Westbury community deserves the opportunity to have a Westbury Union Free School District education. Establishing these advanced PPS programs and bringing our STRIVE program students back to our buildings will allow for those students to take part in the truly exceptional educational experience that we offer here in our district.
Excellent. I think we got to give STRIVE another shout out. Let's do that one more time. The STRIVE program at the middle school is so amazing, so amazing. And let me just also share, Mr. Jorge Santiago Jr. interviewed parents who will likely come into the STRIVE program, and those parents were so excited to bring their beautiful scholars to our school district and to be able to have their scholars go to the district of residence. We're educating all. Now, if we're going to be a school district that supports inclusivity, and we talk about being inclusive and having a diverse population, why not with our student population? So I am so excited about the STRIVE program and what it will mean for our community.
We mentioned staff notes, so we do have staff returning from grants, which has staffing implications. We have retirements. We see reductions of about $875,000 in this budget due to retirements that we do not need to replace. And as we mentioned, there were the vacant assistant to the superintendent and the vacant assistant business administrator for finance. So supplies and materials, yes, you see the overall line go down, but we want to point out that, as we mentioned, with the COVID money going away, we have ARC, math, and IB textbooks, so you're going to see those lines increase. That's because we're going to continue those programs in the general fund. Okay. Oh, go back. Get me back to this. I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. I'm trying to hit back. Okay, and then I also want to note that you'll see a reduction in technology equipment. That's because that is being moved over to BOCE services to increase aid in the following year. We have our contractual transportation. Again, we mentioned that transportation has done a great job consolidating transportation routes, reducing the budget by about $300,000. And again, we see our tuition increasing. Our charter school tuition is going up this year by $824,000, and that's due to the number of students that are now enrolling in charter schools. I will note that we did get an additional $300,000 in charter school transitional aid in our revenue in the state aid, but it doesn't offset anywhere nearly the costs that you're incurring. We also see some savings from our tuition from our public and private schools because of the program that we're bringing back into the district. Our contractual services and BOCES, as I mentioned before, you're going to see the contractual lines decrease overall, but you're going to see the BOCES lines increase. Some things to point out here. We have our biggest reason for our decrease in our contractual services is we're removing the high-impact tutoring set-aside that was in this year's budget that did not materialize. Some things to point out, as we mentioned, we have our professional learning communities that is coming in from the grant money of $110,000. We have our IB program. We have international student travel. We have our Saturday Wins Academy that's now brought into the general fund. When we talk about BOCES, we see a decrease in our special ed and E&L BOCES program due to the new program that's coming into the district. And you'll also see that we have budgeted for ARC PD, SEL PD, which has been spoken about before. We also have a 3-year replacement plan for student Chromebooks. We've also put into the budget replacement teacher Chromebooks and printers. And we've moved some services from contractual into BOCES to increase our aid. He's not going to do it? Okay. So we just wanted to give a brief overview of the current year, what we've done with projects, with some of the funding that the community has provided before. So for the 23-24 projects completed at the high school, and I'm only going to highlight some of the bigger ones. I'm sorry. We did PA systems and blue lights at Drexel, at Park, at Powell's, and Dryden. Next year, we're hoping to do it at the middle school and high school. We did some smaller work with fencing and window repairs. And what else? Let's see. But overall, we spent $1.4 million this year that the voters approved on various projects within the district. And that really is due to the addition of the foundation aid that we've been receiving over the last few years, and we're able to maintain that in next year's budget, because we are budgeting $1.4 million for a variety of projects next year. What we're it's not there, okay. Next year. Now, as mentioned, what we're hoping to do is the blue lights at the high school and the middle school. We're looking to remove some oil tanks at a couple of our buildings, and we're also looking to do some display signs as well as refinish some floors, do a playground at Powell's. I think they'll be very happy if they get a playground. Overall, the budget for those are $1.4 million. Do you want to speak about enrollment? Sure. Okay.
So one of the challenges that we presented at the very beginning was that enrollment. And as you can see from this chart, we recognize that our enrollment has declined from 2020-2021 school year to now, and we recognize that, and we do realize that because of the enrollment decrease, it does require us to be a little bit more innovative and creative in terms of how we distribute not only resources, but also staffing. And this is just another depiction of our enrollment chart. So, what happens if the budget is defeated? And while we don't want to have those conversations, we have to, because we want to be very realistic with you all in the event that the budget doesn't pass. Well, we have two options. One option is that we get to resubmit the same proposal, or we might revise it for a revote, which means we just we'll propose another budget and we'll go out for a vote. The other option is we will adopt a contingent budget. And if residents vote down the budget a second time, the district must adopt a contingent budget if it is defeated the second time. Okay? But what we want to highlight to the community is that we want to highlight that the budget that's being presented today, the budget that we're asking our school board to adopt, is a budget that reflects a 0% tax levy increase. Let me just repeat that again. It is a budget that reflects a 0% tax levy increase. But let's just be clear. If we have to adopt a contingent budget, here's how it impacts our school. Adopting a contingent budget prohibits the district from spending any money in certain areas, including the community use of our school facilities, new equipment, non-essential maintenance, capital expenditures, salary increases for non-instructional, non-unionized employees, and unfortunately, our scholars will not be able to participate in certain field trips and some student supplies. Ladies and gentlemen, our next steps are the following. Similar to the previous years, we have established a special email address. Should you have questions, should you need clarification, please send us an email at budget@westburyschools.org. Once we receive the email, we will respond. But we will also create an FAQ sheet so that the entire community can see the questions that are being asked and see the answer, because it may be a question that you have as well. So we ask you all to please use this email address to ask questions. We're happy to answer them. We also encourage our community members, our residents, our voters, to please check our website for detailed budget information. There will be community presentations. The budget hearing is set for May 7th, and of course, the budget vote is May 21st. Please exercise your right to vote. We thank you for your undivided attention. We thank you for your applause. We thank you for your continued support of our scholars and our beautiful school district, and we will entertain any questions at this time. I want to thank the administration for participating in the presentation. I want to thank, again, those people who are in the audience who've heard the presentation. I'm not sure if there's any questions in the chat or comments. Do you have a question?
Okay, there are no questions from the audience. We do have people watching the live stream on YouTube. Are there any questions? I'm asking my fellow board members, are there any questions in the chat room on the YouTube? No questions. Okay. We have over 100 people watching. I'm really encouraged by that. Really very happy to hear that so many people got the message and decided to tune in and join us. I'm sorry that the weather was so bad, but really it's, I guess maybe the only benefit coming out of the pandemic was that we all did learn how to use Zoom and how to live stream. So it's a great opportunity for our community to be able to participate in this way. Do we also have? Okay, and I understand Wordly was operating, which is our translation service. So since there appear to be no questions, we are going to move on to actually have the vote by the board to adopt the budget. And I'm going to ask IT to bring in to the room by Zoom two of our board members who could not be present with us today. On the screen right now is Vice President Ewing. And joining us in a moment is Pedro Quintanilla, Trustee Quintanilla. Both of them are obviously not with us in the room, but New York State education law allows them to participate in the meeting, provided that they are visible and can be heard and can be seen to be voting without and being coerced to vote, and also that they provide their address. And their address is the address of where they are located at the moment. Mr. Ewing is located, and we can all be very jealous of him. He is located at 300 Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and Trustee Quintanilla is located at 57 Chestnut Street in Westbury. I see that we've got Mr. Ewing on the stream. Is Mr. Quintanilla? Oh, and we got Mr. Quintanilla as well. Very good. Hello, gentlemen. You can see that they really are there. They are responsive. So there are a couple of other items on the agenda tonight, other than just the straight vote to adopt the budget. The first is an approval of waiver of board policies 2320 and 2342, which provides for the board which waives the requirement that the agenda be delivered to the homes of board members 5 days prior to the meeting. And also, that be delivered to the board 5 days before the meeting. It was not delivered to the board before 5 days, but all board members were aware of what was coming up tonight. That's item 7A. 7B is the actual adoption of the 24-25 school year budget. And then 7C is the adoption of the property tax report card for 24-25. Because these items were not posted on a timely basis, I am going to read the resolutions in their entirety. Resolution 7A. Be it resolved that in accordance with Board Policy 2320, the 24-hour notice requirement for this special meeting has been waived, and board members have signed the necessary waiver of notice forms. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby waives for the April 23rd, 2024 special meeting the requirements of Board Policy 2320, which requires that the agenda for special meetings shall be delivered to the homes of board meetings prior to the meeting. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby waives the requirements of Board Policy 2342, which generally requires agenda items to be distributed at least 5 days in advance of a board meeting. Do I have a motion on Resolution 7A?
So moved.
It's been moved by Trustee Bowling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Wilson. It's been moved and seconded. Ayes, Trustee Keynes?
Aye.
Trustee Wilson?
Aye.
Trustee Bowling?
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson?
Aye.
Trustee Quintanilla? I can hear you. One second. I think I know why no one else can hear you. Okay. How do you vote, Trustee Quintanilla? I can hear you, but we can't hear you on the Zoom.
I'm going to ask, Pedro, I'm going to ask that, and for all to see, I'm going to ask that you signal that you're voting in the affirmative by raising your thumb, and if you're voting negatively, to put your thumb in the downward position. Trustee Quintanilla has indicated visually that he is voting in favor of waiving the provisions of Board Policy 2320 and Board Policy 2342. Vice President Ewing, I'm going to ask that you give the same visual demonstration. Thank you. Vice President Ewing has indicated that he votes for the waiver of those policies as well. Thank you.
Aye.
He's put up 2 thumbs. He's really smart. Okay. 7B. Resolved that the Board of Education approves the proposed budget for the 24-25 school year for the Westbury Union Free School District.
Sorry to interrupt.
$211.
Mr. Turner, you did not vote.
I'm sorry. Thank you. The district clerk has reminded me that I failed to vote on 7A. I register a vote in the positive. Motion carries unanimously 7-0.
Thank you. Again, 7B reads, resolved that the Board of Education approves the proposed budget for the 24-25 school year of the Westbury Union Free School District in the amount of $198,918,211. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Dr. Dixon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Bowling. Aye. Trustee King.
That was Wilson.
Trustee Wilson seconded it. Aye. Trustee King.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Bowling.
Aye.
Trustee Dickerson.
Aye.
Trustee Quintanilla, I ask you to make the same visual signal.
Dual signal.
Trustee
Trustee Quintanilla votes aye.
Trustee
Vice President Ewing.
Aye.
Vice President Ewing voted aye as well, and I, Robert Triano, vote aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7C. Resolved that pursuant to the requirements set forth in Section 1716 of the Education Law,
the Board of Education of the Westbury Union Free School District hereby adopts an annexed property tax report card on the proposed budget for the 24-25 school year. Resolved that Superintendent of the Westbury Union Free School District shall be such property tax report card also be transmitted to local papers having a circulation in the district, be appended to the proposed budget, and be available for distribution at the 2024 annual meeting and election. Do I have a motion?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Wilson, I believe.
Yes. Second
Thank you.
by Bowling.
We have a second by trustee Bowling. Been moved and seconded.
Trustee Kane,
Aye.
trustee Wilson,
Aye.
trustee Bowling,
Aye.
trustee Dickerson,
Aye.
trustee Quintanilla. Please indicate trustee Quintanilla, sorry. Trustee, please indicate visually that he votes for item 7C. And trustee, I'm sorry, Vice President Ewing. Vice President Ewing also signals that he votes in favor of 7C. Thank you all, and I, Robert Triano, vote unanimously. Thank you all for, and I want to thank, in particular, I want to thank trustees Ewing and trustee Quintanilla for making time tonight to, even though they couldn't be present with us, making time to come out and vote. It's very important that the community see that all 7 members of the budget, of the board, support this budget. I want to thank the administration for putting together a budget that meets 3 needs that the board asked for. One, that we constrain taxes, and we have a tax-free budget, that we continue to enhance the academic programs we've done, and that we continue